So, Kakadosh Boker Tov, we're going to continue Daf Kuf Aleph, 101, Kiminyan Michael. Yeah? So, we're going to start with Daf Kuf Aleph, Amud Aleph. So, it says over here like this. Yesterday, if you remember, we were speaking about it. This is where we finished, where we said that Rabbi Yehuda is talking about that if the boat itself was Amuka Asara, was the depth of the boat was 10 Tfachim, Ve'en Givua Asara, but it's not 10 Tfachim above the water. Okay, which means, right, so therefore we said in such a case, so you could take from it to the sea, but not from the sea to it. So here's the picture. I'm sure you all have it in your art scrolls, but here you have it over here. The boat itself is 10 Tvachim, but it's not 10 Tvachim above the water, right? The entire height is 10 Tvachim, okay? But part of it is inside the water, right? So inside the water there you had was the 3 Tvachim, plus you have this 4 Tfachim wide in a certain place. Okay, fine. So says now the Gemara, what's the reasoning why when it's minayam letocha, which means from the water into it, that we say that it's not permitted? The kamentaltalim was you're carrying from a karmelit to a reshut echid. The karmelit is the yam. The yam, the water, is not considered reshut rabim. It's considered a karmelit. So therefore, you're carrying from the yam to the reshut echid to a private domain, which is the boat. So too, mitocha liyam nami kamitaltel reshut echid lekarmelit. Meaning, how does it work that you're allowed to transfer from one place to another, but not the other way around? How does that work? Why is it that you're allowed to take from the boat to the sea, but not the sea to the boat? Why not? It's the exact same thing. So he says, if you're going to tell me that the sea is a karmelit and the boat is a reshut echid, just like, right, you're not allowed to take from the sea into the karmelit, from the karmelit into the reshut echid, from the sea to the boat, because you're carrying from the karmelit to the reshut echid. So to vice versa, right? So says the Gemara, elalav, but rather, achudah. What does that mean? We're talking about achudah. When it says that Rabbi Yehuda permits from mitocha, right? Mitocha layam, which means, right, that it's mitocha layam, which means from the inside of it to the sea. So it says achudah. We're talking about the chud dafnotea. Chud dafnotea is the point of the walls. Right? Ushmamina. So we're learning from here, kocho bekarmelit lo gazru shmamina. So it's coming to teach you that kocho, that it's coming from his strength. In a karmelit, they didn't make this decree. So we already learned this, if you remember. We said that if you're going to take something with your koach, with your strength, in the reshut rabim, you're chayav, because it's a public domain. However, though, in a karmelit, they didn't make such a decree. So here, let me just, it's written over here. It says like this. It says, one second, let me just silence this because it's, okay. So he says, what does that mean? On one of the walls, right, you were pouring the water on one of the walls and the water is going down the walls. That, you didn't take it directly from your hands and you put it into the sea. You poured it on the wall. From the wall, it started going down with your koach, with your strength, and you poured it, it starts going down into the sea. That's called kocho. The fact that you're doing that in a karmelit, they never made such a decree, and therefore that's why it's going to be permitted. Okay? So Amar Ravuna says, Hanu b'tziatan de meishan. These small, I don't know if you want to call them rafts, or small sirot ktanot, or like small, I don't know, a sira is, I think it's called a raft. No, well, usually a raft
is boats.
Small boats. Okay, small boats. Here it says sfinot ktanot, but in brackets it says asira. Usually, let me see if it has it here also. Because usually it's more of a, how do you call it? Let's see. Yeah, it also translated as boat. So
but it said in the footnote that it's like a canoe. It's wide.
Canoe, that's the word, canoe. Because a raft is usually like rectangular, correct? That's more like
wide on the top and very thin on the bottom.
Right, so this is going to be like a canoe, right? So it says over here, these small canoes, okay, Shilnar Meishan, from the river of Meishan, which are again very wide on the top, right? And then it goes down in a shipua until they get to the bottom. And you cannot carry with them ella be'arba, only within the arba amot. Okay, why? Because it does not have a reshut yachid, which means that even though these boats are 10 tfachim and wide 4 tfachim right above, nevertheless, it doesn't have 4 tfachim on the bottom. So since it doesn't have a 4 tfachim on the bottom, it comes out that it does not have a mechitza, right? Because the mechitza is only on the top part, not on the bottom part. So it's like a mechitza truya, it's like hanging in the air. Velo amran, and we didn't say this halacha, but we don't say that there's going to be less than 3 tfachim from the bottom, right? And 4 tfachim width, which means that it's going to become wider and wider to become 4 tfachim only after 3 tfachim from the bottom, which means from the bottom until it becomes 4 tfachim, there's more than 3 tfachim. Okay, so remember, you have it very skinny, and then it starts becoming wider and wider and wider. If it takes more than 3 tfachim, which is 24 centimeters, to become here 4 tfachim, which is 32 centimeters, so then that's why it's disqualified. Okay? That means it has to be much more of a roundish type of a thing that within the 3 tfachim, right, from the bottom to the top, you already have 4 tfachim wide. Okay? So then be'emet, there's no problem because then it's kilu, the mechitzot went until the bottom. Right? And also, if you filled it up with kanim, with reeds on the bottom, let lamba also. Because then the bottom, even though it became so skinny and it's very, very, very narrow until it gets to the bottom, if you fill it up with reeds, you blocked it off. So therefore you start the 3 tfachim higher up, and then you could get the 4 tfachim width. Everyone understood the picture? Let me see if I have also the picture here. Here it is. This is like the type of a canoe. So it says, right here, this is where we said that the 3 tfachim, you have to become 4 tfachim width. You see the 3 tfachim, and it has to become 4 tfachim width. So he says, right, in this case, right, it's not going to be good in Aleph. Hani Mitzvah Nishan is going to be a problem. But if it's going to be like this, which is a thicker one, so it's going to be permitted, because within the 3 tfachim, it became 4 tfachim. Or if you filled it up, in this picture, if you filled it up with the reeds, so you fill it up with reeds, it's also going to be permitted, because then you start the 3 tfachim, right? It's going to be okay, because the 10 tfachim is up here. So then it's going to be okay. Okay? Fine. So it says the Gemara, right? Matkifla Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman comes and he asks the following question. Velema gud achit mechitzata. He says, why don't we just say gud achit? So I'm just going to try to explain. There's 2 concepts when we speak about, usually this is brought down in Sukkah, in Eruvin, there's a whole bunch of different things like this. There's a concept called gud achit and gud asik. Okay, so here it says gud is to continue drawing it forth. So why don't we just say gud achit is to go downwards and gud asik is going upwards. So we say, why don't you just draw the mechitzah downwards and look that the mechitzot are going to be further down, which means, why don't we just make it, as if say that the mechitzot are going all the way downwards, okay? And therefore, it's not that it's hanging in the air, and therefore it's not going to be a reshut yachid. Okay, let's see if we have a picture. Yeah. Gud achit is right here. Look, we basically take here, and instead of making the mechitzah stop here, and then as if to say that it's hanging in the air, say gud achit, and it goes all the way down. So you draw an imaginary line downwards, and then the mechitzot go all the way downwards. And then by doing this, it comes out the what? That it's going to be a good mechitzah. And then it's perfect. So says the Gemara, Milo Tanya, did we learn Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Na'atz kaneh, if you took a kaneh, which is a thin reed, that's not 4 by 4 tfachim, into the Reshut Rabim, uvrosho kaneh, right? And then on the top, you put on it a basket. Okay, so it's this picture here. You put a reed, which obviously does not have 4 by 4, and then you put a basket on top of it. Okay? So it says over here like this. So it says, right, vizarak, and you threw something on it on Shabbat, venach al gabav, and it landed on it. You're going to be chayav. Why? Because you went from Reshut Yachid to Reshut Rabim to Reshut Yachid, the public domain to private domain. Because that is like a private domain. So now 1 second. it's not going to be 10 tefachim tall. So why do we say it's a reshut yechid? But rather, because what we do is we do the 10 tefachim from the ground, right? And therefore, from the ground, which the reed is there until the top, you're going to have it. Now, 1 second. But it's not 4x4. So you see, gud achi mechitzata. We say that the mechitza goes downwards, and therefore it goes all the way down, and then it's 10 tefachim. So therefore, it's its own reshut. It's a private domain. Okay? So says the Gemara, Alma Amrin, and you see from here, Gudachi Mechitzata, that we do say that the Mechitza goes downwards. So says the Gemara, Hachenami, so to hear name Gudachi Mechitzata, that the Mechitza goes downwards. Right? In order that it's not considered a Mechitza Tuliyah, that the Mechitza is hanging in the air. Okay? So then the Gemara is going to ask on this. Matkif la Rav Yosef asked the following question, why, he didn't hear Rav Yudah Marav? And some people say it wasn't Rav Yudah Marav, but rather in the name of Rav Chia. The Tani Ela, and some people say Chachamim Potrim. Chachamim say that you're going to be Patur. Which means you're trying to bring me a proof that you're going to be Chayav if you threw from the Reshut Rabim onto this basket, but if the basket is considered Reshut Yachid. 1 second. Chachamim say you're Patur. So what are you trying to bring me a proof from? So Abaye comes and he says, Ve'ad lo tispera? What, you don't hold Gudachi Mechitzata? But Tanya, we learned in the Braita, Amud b'Reshut Rabim. When you have an Amud in the Reshut Rabim, Gavoa Asara v'Rochav Dalid. Then Bikarov Yesh B'Kitza Shelo Gimel, which means like this. Here's the Amud. Okay, the height is 10 Tfachim. Okay, now the width is 4 Tfachim, but it's only width 4 Tfachim on the higher part. On the lower part, it's not. So that's what it says over here. Ve'em Bikarov Dalid, Yesh B'Kitza, it only has 3. So down here it's 3 Tfachim, but up here has 4 tefachim, and it's 10 tefachim tall. Okay? So it says like this. So it says, Amud b'Reshut Rabim gavoa 10 v'rachav 4, v'em b'ikaru 4, v'yesh b'katza shalosh 3, and you threw an object in the Reshut Rabim, and it landed on top of this Amud, on top of this pillar. Chayav, you're going to be chayav. Alma, so you see, Amrina mechi mechitzata, so you see that you do go down. That means even though the bottom part only had 3, I take the imaginary lines, go downwards, and now has 4. And therefore, it's a private domain. So you threw it from a public domain to a private domain. So ask the Chachamim again. Nida, Idya, can you compare both cases? That's a mechitza that the gediyim, the kids, we're talking about the animals, right? The young goats, they go through it. So you don't say gud achi mechitzata. And therefore, the rabbis come and they argue on Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda to do the traskal. Remember, to do with the basket, the animals will go right through. There's a little pole in the middle. So they won't go where the pole is, but right beside the poles and right underneath the basket, they'll start running through. That's why it's going to be different. It's not a Reshut Yechid. Hacha, by over here, right, to do with a big pillar, a gedi is not going to run into a pole. Right, we're talking about a big, a thick thing. Even if it's 3 tvachim is 18 centimeters. 18 centimeters is not going to run right into a pole, a traffic light. It's not like one of these big things. It's not going to do that. But if it's a little tiny reed, and then on the top you have a basket, right, and it's 80 centimeters tall, it would run right through, right beside it, right underneath. There's no problem. So the Gemara is going to ask to do with the boat. Amale Ravacha bered Ravacha Ravashi. He says Ravacha, the son of Ravacha, to Ravashi, Kabesfina Nami. Also by the fish, Haika Bikia Dagin. You have the water, the fish. Which means, again, if the boat is like this, and you wanted to make an imaginary line going down, right, to fill in the gap, right, the fish are also going on the sides. So the fish are also going on the sides. So therefore, it's the exact same thing like what we mentioned about the basket. So Amalei, he says, Bikia dakim nashme bikia. The fact that fish pass through are not considered that they break through, right? Umina teimra, right? Why? Because the fish are not seen. And therefore, you don't say gudachi mechitzata, which means you could still say it, which means that the mechitza goes downwards, you could still say it, because we don't see the fish. The animals, we see it. The fish, we don't see it. How do we know this is so? The ba miner Rabbi Tavla mirav, because Rabbi Tavla asked from Rav, mechitza tluya ma'u shetatil bechurba. When you have a mechitza tluya in the avir, which is in the air, which is 3 tfachim or more above the ground, is it going to be permit the churba or not? Is it going to permit that if it let me see here if I have a picture. Here's the churba. Mechitza truya, right? Ma'u shetatir bechurba. This is the picture. You see over here? This is the churba. And here you have the churba. And here you have the mechitza in the air, in the airspace on the top. So is that going to permit the churba or not? So it says, right, what does that mean? For example, the chelek hatachton shelecha mikotlei churba v'chelek alyon nisha kayam, which means part of the bottom wall broke, but you still have the top wall. So you have a mechitza in the air, right, in the air, and the bottom part is open up. Okay? So the question is, right, do you say, that's what we're trying to say here, do you say that the churba is considered a shuta yechid because of the mechitza on the top, and we say gudachi mechitza that goes downwards, or not? Amalei, he said, it's not going to be permitting it. Says Kuf Aleph Amud Bet, ela b'mayim, only by water. Right? Why? Shekal hu shekilu chachamim b'mayim, because it's a special din by water that they were permitting it, which means it's a special halacha by water that they permitted water. But other than water, they don't permit a mechitza, which is hanging in the air. Okay? So says the Gemara, amai why? Hayika b'kiyat dagim, ya b'kiyat dagim. Lashma mina b'kiyat dagim, lashma b'kiyat. Just like we learned before, the fact that the fish could go by it does not consider a problem. Okay? Next, 2 dots. Sfinot akshurot zu bezo. So we said when we had 2 different boats tied to each other, so you're allowed to carry from one to another, and there's no problem. So you could tie the boats together, and then you're allowed to transfer from one to another. Says the Gemara, Pshita, obviously, he says why? He says, well, since they're carried to each other and they're right beside each other, and they're not supposed to move away from each other, so for sure you're permitted to carry from one to another. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Lo nitzrecha ela leatir bitzit shebenehen. We're talking about that it wasn't permitted only to permit a bitzit. What's a bitzit? It's a sfina ktana, which is basically like a small, small boat between them, which means that it's not actually that tied together. But we're talking about that you wanted to have a boat in between both of them. Let's see if you have a picture here. Yeah, here. They're tied to each other, but even though they're tied to each other, you wanted this little bitzit here. You have it here. You see it says, this little tiny boat over here in between. Okay? So therefore it says over here, so the Mishnah is teaching us that we're not going to suspect that maybe it's going to go from between the 2 boats and it's going to become a karmelit in between them, but rather you're allowed to carry one from another as long as the bitzit is in between them. So Amalei Rav Safra, right? So it says Rav Safra, Moshe, which is like Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Rabbeinu Agadol, Shapir Kamarta, right? It's good that you said such a thing. Right? That means he was trying to call him like Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? Shapir Kamarta, you said such an incredible thing. We learned in the Mishnah, which means that the Mishnah is coming to teach you that you're allowed to carry between the 2 boats, and it's not talking about that you're actually going from one boat, right, through another boat in between. So basically what he's trying to ask is that it's not mashma like that in the Mishnah. Because in the Mishnah, it's mashma that you're going directly from one boat to another, not that you're going through a third party in the middle. Okay? Ela Rav Safra, but rather Rav Safra says, Lo nitzecha ela, what are we talking about? Le'arev ultaltel mizol lezo. You're right, you have to do an eruv. And then you're allowed to carry from one another. Let's see if you have a picture to do the eruv. No. Okay, so you're making an eruv. And then by making an eruv, you're allowed to carry from one boat to another boat. Just like we learned in the Braita, sfinok shurot zo bezo. You have boats which are tied to each other. So you're allowed to do an eruv and you're allowed to carry from one to another. Nifseku, if they got split up, right? Nesru, so then you're not allowed to carry from one to another. Nikshiru, if it was tied on Shabbat, whether it was b'shogeg or mezid, whether they forgot that you're not allowed to tie on Shabbat, or whether it was done b'mezid, ben anusim ben mutin, or whether they were forced on the kshira, or whether it was a mistake, which means like it was nitasek and something else, and then it became tied together or attached together. Chazru le'heter, and Ishana goes back to the original heter of the eruv that you're allowed to actually carry from one to another. The same halacha would apply. Machzelot prusot u'shut rabim. We're talking about a few people that they went and they kifu berev Shabbat sivotehem u'shut rabim through a machzelet, which means like through a type of like a carpet. So it became like surrounded in the Reshut Rabim. this picture here. They went around with like types of carpets around them, so they surrounded themselves with it. Okay? Machzalot Prushot Shutabim, Me'arevim, they do an eruv, so you're allowed to carry from one place to another. Niglalu, if right now it opened up, so Nesru becomes prohibited. Chazum Nifreshuf, again they were opened up on Shabbat, whether it was Shogeg or Mezid, or it was forced withdrawal, or it was a mistake. Chazru, they go back to the original heter. Shekol mechitza shnasi b'Shabbat, but any mechitza which was made on Shabbat, ben b'Shogeg Mezid, whether it was by accident or on purpose, shma mechitza, it's called a mechitza. And therefore, even though it was done on Shabbat and it's a sur, it's still considered a mechitza and it's going to be permitted. Okay? So the Gemara asks, Any, is it so? Right? Do you actually say that a mechitza which is done on Shabbat permits carrying between them? Rav Nachman says, Lo Shana, what are we talking about? Ela lizrok. We're only talking about from throwing from the Reshut Rabim to one of these places to this mechitza, or the opposite. Aval letaltel, but carrying inside of it, it's a sur. So from here, it's only from throwing from one domain to this domain, or this domain outwards. But within the same domain, within this machzlot, it's still going to be a sur. So says the Gemara, when did Rav Nachman say this? Only if it was done purposely. Which means if purposely you came on Shabbat and you did this, Chachamim made a knas. They gave you a penalty that you're not allowed to do this. So they said you're not allowed to even carry the Daladamu within the same domain. Why? Because they didn't want you to do this. They wanted to stop the Chilul Shabbat, so they gave you a knas. So Amar Shmuel comes and he says, "Va'afilu kshurot bechut sarbal asarbal." Even if it is going to be that the boats are tied together with a very thin string, right? Which usually they come and they put on the mil tzemer, on something of like a string that you put on your clothing. It's still going to be enough that it's considered you're going to be permitted to carry from one to another. Okay, hechidami. Says the Gemara, what are we dealing with? If it could actually hold the two boats together, so pshita, obviously, why not? But if it can hold the boats together, why is it going to be good? Right? You're tying it with a string that in 2 seconds it could just, detach itself. So says the Gemara, right? Leolam diachol amidan. Really, be'emet, you could, right, put it together, right? V'shmuel ha'pukim nafsheh kateh. But Shmuel is coming to exclude from himself, which means, right, the sfina which is kshura. It's numbers we learned in the Mishnah. Kshara b'davar ha'mamidah nevila tuma. If he's going to tie a boat with something which is going to put it into its place, it's going to bring the tuma. B'davar she'en mamidah, if it's going to be something which is not going to put it in its place, en mevila tuma, it cannot bring tuma. Why? Because in such a case, so again, if right now you tied it together with something, for example, like iron chains or something, that it's actually going to stop it, so then it's going to it's going to become tameh. However, though, if something which is not going to be mamida, it's not going to bring it tameh. Right? Because then what happens is the boat itself is becoming like a rishon tuma, and therefore cannot come and be mitameh the kelim, which is on top of it, because a rishon cannot be mitameh kelim. Okay? Now it says here like this. It says, however, though, if it was going to be tied like with shalosh barzel, so then the boat will become an avatuma, just like the tuma. And then what happens is, because the dead person is avyavot tuma, he makes an avatuma, and then it's going to make everything on the boat into the rishon. Okay, so Amar Shmuel says, "Vehu shekshura shebeshalosh barzel." That's only going to be tied with iron chains. Inyan tumahu. That's to do with tuma. Dichtiv. That's talking about to do with the concepts of Tumah, which is written by the Paraduma. So the cherev, which is any type of a metal utensil or a sword, is like the halal itself. It's like the dead person itself, right? Because it becomes an avatuma itself. In aval inyan Shabbat, but to do with Shabbat, we're talking about carrying from one boat to another boat, right? If it could actually hold the boats together. Even if it's going to be chutza sarbal, it's going to be enough. And then you're not going to have a problem. As long as, to do it tum'ah, it has to be a strong bond. But to do it just holding it together, it doesn't have to be a strong bond. Okay, with this, we finish today's daf.